wrestling, our ancestor sport, which we brought from the steppes of Middle Asia to Anatolia, which was praised by our prophet, which was performed by our sultans, and which was ordered by Ataturk to be developed. Hello to you who have set their heart on my ancestors' sport. Hello to you who have come to the historical Kırkpınar field of contest. Hello to you, the warm and friendly people of my country. Welcome to the field of contest. Wrestlers, wrestlers. Here is the field, there is the wrestler. My Lord, the Creator, helps wrestlers. Sarı Saltuk from Osmancık. Wrestlers wear tights for God's sake, just for love. Hands on tights, knees on the ground. Let's wrestle on the plain. Black sheep, white sheep. Wrestlers are wrestling. Allah, Allah, illallah, Muhammadan Rasulallah. Let's say mashallah to the head wrestlers with applause. Edirne, a border city which was the capital of the Ottoman Empire until Istanbul was conquered. This city hosts Kırkpınar oil wrestling festivals, as well as several historical Ottoman estates. Kırkpınar Oil Wrestling is an organization that benefits the world and has been granted an Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity award by UNESCO. Other than being a cultural heritage, there is one more important feature of Kırkpınar. Oil wrestling is the oldest organized sport that continues to the present day. Kırkpınar oil wrestling's fame exceeds not only countries, but also continents. It is not recklessly in the limelight, and Kırkpınar Pelivans are the reason for the spread of the idiom strong like a Turk. All of our wrestlers who become famous all over the world are all brave men who wrestled in Kırkpınar and won the wrestling tournaments and earned the title head wrestler. On this meadow, so many head wrestlers were walking by making a peşru, stepping on the grass, tearing their tights, and defeating their opponents. There are several of rumors of where the name Kırkpınar came from. The most famous of these rumors is from Soğut and belonged to the era of Sultan Orhan, whose tomb is in Bursa in Soğut. In 1346, during the expedition to conquer Rumelia, Orhan's elder son, Süleyman Pasha, walked all over Domuzhisar, which belonged to Byzantium, with his 40 warriors. When the army conquered Domuzhisar, those 40 warriors returned home. On the road, during a break, they started wrestling just for joy in the village of Samona in modern Greece. At the end of the match, only one couple, brothers Ali and Selim, could not complete their match. None of them would concede defeat. At Hidrellez, these two brothers again started wrestling in Edirne at Ahirköy Meadow, but they could not defeat each other. The day ended and the wrestling match continued by the light of the campfire, and only ended when these two brothers breathed their lasts. Their friends buried these brothers at the foot of a fig tree, and after many years, while they were passing through the same place, these friends saw a miracle. They saw that fresh water had sprung from the ground around the tombs, and so named this area Kırkpınar, which means 40 springs in Turkish. But the legend does not tell us where the number 40 comes from. A more realistic legend stems from the conquest of Edirne in 1361. After the conquest, Murat I opened a wrestling lodge in Edirne, continuing his father's tradition, who opened a wrestling lodge in Bursa. The first trainer of the lodge was Cemalettin Efendi. Evliya Çelebi also mentioned this lodge with the name Astani Seyyid Cemalettin Sultan. With the establishment of the lodge, wrestling matches have been held in the region properly. Thus, Kırkpınar Oil Wrestling Organization, which is the most important oil wrestling organization today, was born. The Kırkpınar Oil Wrestling Organization has one more important feature. This special type of wrestling was born and invented in this region. It was created by embracing the wrestling which was done by the Byzantines and the Romans, who greased their bodies, and was called Greco-Roman wrestling, and also by using Turkish Karakucak wrestling, which is wrestling without oil. No matter how it was born, the most important point is that Kırkpınar expresses the fact that Rumelia is now Turkish. There are two important places to learn about this glorious wrestling organization. One of them is the museum, which is in the yard of Selimiye Mosque. There are photos of old Pelivans and their costumes in this museum. The place where you must visit if you want the widest information about Kırkpınar oil wrestling is Kırkpınar House, which was established by former Kırkpınar Aga Alper Yazoğlu.
Kahramanlık ve güreş havaları çalacaklar, tüylerimizi ürpertecekler. Ben bir kişi olarak Kırkpınar'ı, Er Meydanı'ndaki güreşleri ve o görsel zenginliği, o törenin güzelliklerini yaşarken
This museum has a large archive of the history of Kırkpınar, including pictures representing the era and models and photographs of the latest period. Here, one will find not only models of Pelivan, but also models of people who are all part of Kırkpınar. Jazgirs, oilers, shalmers, and drummers make a parade throughout the museum. Some of the oldest photos of our wrestling history are also at this museum. Kırkpınar is the milestone of Turkish wrestling, as well as a legendary organization which has continued for centuries. All wrestlers, the fathers of the idiom strong as a Turk around the world, started their professional lives in Kırkpınar by starting with a peshrev in Kırkpınar. In the garden, there are sculptures of some legendary Pelivans, such as Koca Yusuf, Kel Aliço, Kurtdureli, and Abdullah Halil. 4 of these wrestlers are also presented at another place in Edirne, in the heart of the wrestling organization, the entrance of Kırkpınar land. These 4 are Koca Yusuf, Kel Aliço, Kurtdureli, and Abdullah Halil, who are named as the strongest in wrestling history. The most important Kırkpınar Pelivan may be Koca Yusuf. This world champion wrestler was the first Pelivan to spread the strength and fame of Turks around the world. The effects of wrestling all over the world occurred when our wrestlers went to Paris, London, and America at the end of the 19th century. And the idiom which was given to them, the leading one, Koca Yusuf, strong as a Turk in France, and the magnificent Turk in America. Koca Yusuf first attended wrestling matches in Paris, Folies Bergère, then in Cirque d'Hiver, and then in the rural places in 1895. A legendary wrestler who completed all 16 matches he made without being pinned also attended the wrestling tournament that was held in Bordeaux in 1896. Finally, Koca Yusuf went on his last journey abroad to America in 1898 for wrestling. He wrestled in important and famous venues including Madison Square Gardens without any defeat. When he left for home with his rewards, the trip tragically terminated the successful career of Koca Yusuf. Strong as a Turk in France, and the Magnificent Turk in America. As is known, Koca Yusuf got on a large transatlantic ship traveling from New York to Europe on July 2nd, 1898. 2 days later, on the morning of July 4th, another ship came through a very dense fog and struck the middle of Yusuf's ship, dividing it into two parts. All of a sudden, his ship began sinking. I am the one who scanned all of these resources, and I have come up with this. Koca Yusuf didn't know how to swim. His whole life was spent in the Balkans and Istanbul wrestling. So there is a great panic. And as the ship is sinking, hundreds of people rush around. As its own sources point out, the crew who became aware of this situation saved their own lives instead of the passengers. Koca Yusuf is a man who doesn't know anything about how this works. Koca Yusuf, he knows neither the ship nor how to swim. It is sure that he had rushed around somewhere, but while hundreds of other people have died in the struggle, Koca Yusuf, he will as well. We also must remember the gold that he has won, and it's on his waist. Koca Yusuf, he is a heavy man who is made heavier by the gold belt on his waist. It will take him to the deep sea. In this situation, God rest his soul, of course he dies. Koca Yusuf, the most important Kırkpınar Pehlivan may be Koca Yusuf. Koca Yusuf, this world champion wrestler, was the first Pehlivan to spread the strength and fame of Turks around the world. When he left for home with his rewards, the trip tragically terminated the successful career of Koca Yusuf. We remember with respect the first Pehlivan, Koca Yusuf, who started the world saying, strong as a Turk, who spread the fame and the strength of Turks to the world. Cruel Aliço, who was the head wrestler of Kırkpınar for 27 consecutive years. The second sculpture located at the entrance of the field of contests belongs to Kel Aliço. Kel Aliço wrestled earlier than Koca Yusuf, but didn't join the wrestling matches in foreign countries. So he stayed in Kırkpınar. During 27 years, he won the title of chief wrestler and had the highest record in Kırkpınar. Kel Aliço was a portly wrestler. He was 190 centimeters tall and almost 130 kilograms. He had square shoulders and big biceps. Kel Aliço was called Tyrannical Aliço. He was famous for his headlock and his skites. He was called tyrannical because of his merciless attacks. Some people think that if he got a competitor under him, he would certainly take him down. Kara Ahmet is another wrestler it is necessary to mention. He was the first to be called a world champion. He was born in the village of Omurbey in Razgrad of the Deli Orman in 1870. He started wrestling as a young boy as a pupil of Hergeleci Ibrahim. Thanks to his ability and power, he became famous in a short time. The first time he went to Europe with his master in 1897, he won all his matches. He then carried through his first exam in Europe. In 1899, because of the start of the 20th century, he journeyed to the first World Championship in Paris. In this championship, he was named the first world champion because he took down all of his opponents one by one. When he came back to Istanbul, he was awarded the Ottoman Decoration of Merit by the Sultan Abdülhamit II. Unfortunately, he contracted a serious illness at a young age and died in 1902. Another legendary wrestler was Adala Halil, who was born in the village of Kilise on Adaiçi in 1871. His father was a famous wrestler of that period and encouraged him to begin wrestling. He took his first lessons from his father and later was apprenticed to Kel Alicho. This way, he learned from his master all the details of wrestling. He was 198 centimeters tall and almost 135 kilograms, so Abdullah was known as a bulky wrestler. He took on Koca Yusuf and Kurt Töreli, who were the best wrestlers of the era. Kurt Töreli and Abdullah got a chance to go to Europe, where he took down all of his opponents. When he had no opponents left in Europe, he decided to go to the USA. There he took down all of his competitors as well. From this, he earned the title of Chief Champion and was named the Turkish Lion. After he came back home, he kept his title for 18 years. He had the most useful anecdote for life. A master teaches the pupil his 40 tactics about wrestling, but he keeps the 41st for himself. Although Kel Alicho was 70 years old, he wrestled with Abdullah for the last time, and again, Alicho took his pupil down. While wrestling, I feel the Turkish people as if they were behind me, and I used to do everything in order to protect the honor of my nation. This speech belongs to Kurt Töreli Mehmet, who was another famous wrestler. He was born in Deliorman in 1869. He was 192 centimeters tall and almost 148 kilograms. When he was 21, he took on Koca Yusuf and was praised by him. He got an opportunity to go to Europe in 1899, where he took down some famous wrestlers such as Kalmet, Pitijensky, and Dumas. But unfortunately, he lost to Petrov. He had the power to join 43 competitions for 32 nights at the organization of the World Championship in 1911 and was pronounced the world champion. Ali Nurullah Hassan, known as Feliz Nurullah, was born in Karaeli in 1870. He was 218 centimeters tall and weighed 175 kilograms. He was called Feliz because it meant sapling. After he entered wrestling matches in Turkey, he became famous and went abroad like other Turkish wrestlers. The Europeans gave him his nickname, the Turkish Giant. In 1900, he joined the Golden Belt tournament arranged in Paris and won the championship by taking down all of his famous European opponents. Then he went to the USA and continued his success. In 1902, he went to England, where he joined approximately 40 competitions in a month and took down all of his opponents. After he beat Chaya, a famous Hungarian wrestler, he gave up wrestling in 1911. Kızılcıklı Mahmut Pehlivan is another world champion. He was born in the village of Kızılcıklı on Silistri. He was known for his legendary power in the wrestling matches. While he was abroad, so that he could take advantage of the fame of Koca Yusuf, he wrestled as Yusuf Mahmut, and in America was called the Frightful Turk. According to Turkish documents, Kızılcıklı beat not only everyone he wrestled in America, but also won 27 matches in Paris. According to some foreign documents, however, during the North American tournament, Frank Gotch, an American wrestler, beat Kızılcıklı. In the pre-Republic term, coming back to Kırkpınar, he took the title of Chief Wrestler. The field where wrestlers are born waits for the festival all year. On the opening day of the historical Kırkpınar Wrestling Match and Festival, the attendees first visit the tombs of Abdallah Halil and Kara Emin in the center of Edirne. Everybody prays for the souls of those magnificent wrestlers and puts a garland on their tombs.
Ülkemizi temsil etmeyi gençlerimize de nasip eyle. Amin. Ya Rabbi, alel murselin velhamdülillahi rabbil alemin. El Fatiha.
Then everyone goes to Selimiye Mosque in order to perform the Friday prayer. The theme of the prayer is Kırkpınar.
93 yıl payitahtlık yapmış, sevgili Peygamberimizin övüp sevdiği, müjdelediği, Fatih'i çıkarmış Edirne'mizin...
We welcome the sportsmen and their relatives to Edirne, the city on the border, which was the capital of the Ottoman Empire for 93 years, and who brought up Mehmet the Conqueror with love. We pray and wish you will welcome them and make them successful, my dear Lord. The sports that these brothers perform shall be the language and the symbol of love, respect, loyalty, social ethics, fair play, peace, and brotherhood. We pray to you, my Lord. My Lord, please accept the intention of our governor, municipality, and other organizations in the preparation and performance of Kırkpınar events. Give success to our sportsmen, rest the souls of the dead, serve all good deeds from their ancestors to the future of all participants who listen and who make effort for the organization. Rest the souls of their ancestors and take them to your heaven, my Lord. Honor us with your beauty, my Lord.
Ve aşrı şeriflerden hasıl olan sevabı cümlesinin, bütün katılımcıların, cemaatimizin, dinleyenlerin, emeği geçenlerin, mümin kardeşlerimizin gelmiş geçmişlerine ikram eyle, ruhlarını şad eyle, derecelerini âli eyle, mekanlarını cennetül firdevs eyle ya Rabbi, cümlemizi ve cümlesini cemalinle müşerref eyle ya Rabbi.
Then the attendees leave the prayers and walk in front of the sculptures of the three great wrestlers to enter Kırkpınar land. In order to understand, to enter into the spirit of Kırkpınar, it is required to know every detail. Kırkpınar is not only a sport, it is also an idea, a philosophy, and a moral view. Everything in Kırkpınar has a name, a tradition, and a reason. Nothing exists on its own. It occurs for a reason. For example, Pehlivan does not only mean a wrestler. Pehlivan, which means brave in Persian, is not only a strong person. He is also well-behaved, respectful, and well-accepted by society. The Pehlivan is a mentor system. If a wrestler wrestles with an older wrestler, he will kiss the hand of the older wrestler in order to show respect. This tradition carries a wealth which cannot be seen in any other sports than Kırkpınar. The Baş Pehlivan is the wrestler who is the champion of wrestling matches. He is deemed the head wrestler for 1 year. A wrestler who becomes head wrestler for 3 consecutive years earns the Golden Belt. The Golden Belt is the biggest award in Kırkpınar. The person who wins this belt holds it for 1 year. The field of contest is the field where Kırkpınar wrestling is performed. The original place of Kırkpınar oil wrestling was on the pastures of Samona village, which is now in Greece.
dolayı Bırakın eşitleri kısa verilmiştir. Az olur.
Kısmet is the most important material for the wrestler. It is a must for oil wrestling. The belly part of the kıspet is made from the leather of a water ox or a young buffalo calf, and is 4 fingers wide and thick. The part which the belt rope is passed through is called a kasnak. The part of the kispet which is lower than the knee is called the pacha. Kispet, which is worn in oil wrestling, is made of leather. I know those kispets weighed 12 to 13 kilograms when I was an apprentice, but after 1960, with the development of technology, I was able to reduce the weight to 2.8 kilograms. We say this to the wrestler over and over. After you complete wrestling, clean your kispet with an oily cloth. Put it in a well-ventilated place. Do not put it in direct sunlight. Hang it in a dark place and keep it in its zembil. Take it away from its case once every 2 or 3 months and clean it again with an oily cloth. It was like this during my time. But now, with the development of technology, there are very good wrestling facilities in many cities. Pelivans exercise in well-ventilated, air-conditioned, and warm facilities every week. Thus, it doesn't need to be hanged, and kispet is always worn today. We try to buy the best when we buy leather for kispet. We even test the leather there. We cut a part of the leather and pull it to see if it tears. If the leather is molded when it was cut, then it is torn very quickly. During my era, there were 2 experts in Turkey. One was Hidayet Usta in Istanbul, God rest his soul, and Mustafa Usta from Biga. I learned so much from these 2. When they died in 1967, I was the only expert in kispet sewing in Turkey. A file was prepared in order to include me into the UNESCO Cultural Heritage, and this file was given to the Ministry of Culture. Now, I am one of only 13 people who have been selected as a UNESCO Cultural Heritage among the living. Another factor of Kırkpınar is the referee council. There are 2 types of referees, a tower referee and a field referee. Field referees follow the match very closely. They are selected from among pelivans who were in the head wrestling organizations the most. Tower referees are selected from among wrestlers who had become head wrestlers in the past. Jazgurs are people who represent the referee council and wrestlers to the public. Jazgurs, who are also called salavat callers, represent wrestlers with suitable poems and prayers. In all wrestling matches, the starting ceremony is started with the prayer of the Jazgur. Allah, Allah, illallah, Muhammadan Rasulallah. Let's say mashallah to the head wrestlers with applause. Shalm and drum is a must in oil wrestling. Wrestler tones or Kırkpınar music is played only at these matches. The peshrev is started with an agirlama, which is a wrestling tone. When the wrestling gets hotter, cengavi tones are played. Shalapur cloth is the cloth wrestlers use to clean their faces and eyes. The zembil is the name of a case made from reeds in which the kispet is kept. A wrestler who quits wrestling announces this by hanging his zembil on the wall. The reason why wrestlers get oiled is to make them difficult to grasp. Wrestlers get oil from oilers on the field. Wrestlers first put oil on their left shoulder, chest and arm and kispet with their right hand, and then they make the same with their left. After the wrestling starts, wrestlers can take oil and water from the oilers who walk the field. 0 degrees centigrade olive oil is used for wrestling. Approximately 2 tons of olive oil are used in Kırkpınar wrestling each year. As a Kırkpınar Aga, I would like to express one thing. When we feel and witness wrestling in the field of contest, and the visual richness of Kırkpınar, the most important factor is the Aga. The Aga does not stop after the matches finish, which are only held for 3 days, for he feels and lives Kırkpınar for a whole year. He reflects Kırkpınar and its goodness wherever he goes. Everywhere the Aga goes, there is a good ambience, a peaceful environment, and a feeling of trust. In Turkey, there are nearly 200 oil wrestling matches a year, and the Aga is invited to most of these, and he goes. When coming to Kırkpınar matches, the Aga is the symbol, the possessor, and protector of Kırkpınar. Allegorically, he symbolizes the Turkish nation and its generosity. Agas are characters who must be a model for the society, just the same as wrestlers. The Aga is selected from those who had bid the highest for a ram in the wrestling of the previous year. Agas wear Rumelian costumes. They wear sırpış on their heads and shalwar. They wear a shirt called a jamadan and a vest on this shirt. Their costumes are very flamboyant and embroidered. They hold a large amber bead in their hands. The Aga sends invitations to villages, towns, and cities with candles with red bottoms. The organizing of matches and the invitation of guests are the responsibility of the Aga. The Aga welcomes his guests and puts them up in hotels, hosts dinners, and organizes festivities. Agas ensure matches are performed in compliance with the manners and customs. He hands out prizes to the winners in their categories. He pays for the expenses of all the activities and actions in the municipality. The person who is selected as Aga for 3 consecutive years earns a golden belt. One of the things which is objected to the most in wrestling is the use of the point system in Kırkpınar. Some people say that the point system, which has started to be used, makes Kırkpınar a type of mat oil wrestling, so is no longer an ancestor sport. However, when the Shalman drums start up, hearts begin to beat differently in Kırkpınar. The wrestlers complete their last preparations. They put on their kispets and tie up their legs. Wearing the kispet properly can make or break a match for a wrestler. A felt, which is called a paçabent, is put between the legs of the tights and the skin. The leather part is pulled over the felt and tied with strings. If the legs are not tied tightly, the match could be lost by the means of fingers that are between the legs and the skin. Here is the arena. The arena is also the Kaaba of Pelivans, because being a champion in Kırkpınar is so important. Kispet is a must for a Pelivan. The best thing for a Pelivan is the quality of his kispet. Kispet ties must be strong. The Pelivan whose ties are not tight cannot be successful. The kasnak of the kispet must be sewed strongly. As we've said before, it is important to have strong and tight kispet. Kispet cannot survive without a Pelivan, and a Pelivan cannot survive without kispet. To start being a Pelivan means to put kispet in a zembil and go out. Of course, it has a start and an end. When it is your time to quit, a Pelivan puts his kispet in his zembil and announces that he quits being a Pelivan. Today, not many Pelivans can do this, but there are some of them who do this ritual. For example, we have some Pelivans who put their kispet into a zembil and take it to the Kaaba. I did this. I put my kispet into its zembil and hung it on the wall. Pelivan, Pelivan, here is the field, here is the Pelivan. They say you, Pelivan, are the son of a Pelivan. Are they the sounds of the Adan from 300 minarets? Is this the sound of 40 drums, or is that Khoja Yusuf who is coming? Historical Kirkpinar is brewing. Is it Adala who is enjoying? Hey, Alicho, are you sleeping? There are pitched wrestlings in the historical Edirne Kirkpinar Field of Contest. Don't you hear? This is called the Field of Contest, the House of Pelivans. The violin bow of Kelalicho, who was the head wrestler in Kirkpinar for 47 years. The sound of the magnificent giant Khoja Yusuf is coming from the ocean. If you ask Kurtdur Eli Mehmet, he is the wrestler who made history. Allah, Allah, illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah. Let's say mashallah to the head wrestlers with applause. May God strengthen you all. When the Jazgir responds to the call, everyone is thrilled. Wrestlers, while waiting for the Jazgir, hold the hands of their opponents to express that they are brothers. They hail Ali and Selim, who are cited with the birth of Kirkpinar. When the prayers are completed, wrestlers walk 3 steps backwards and 3 steps forward. 3 steps backwards means that before God, our necks are thinner than a hair. And 3 steps forward means that our goal is to become martyrs with the consent of God. Later, wrestlers hit the ground with their right hands, then bring their hands to their knees, lips, and foreheads. The meaning of this gesture is to be haughty with strength. You have come from the ground, and you shall go back to it. After that, wrestlers walk the arena from one side to another while they perform the prelude. Meanwhile, they hail the audience and they come together and shake hands. Shaking hands means a wish to be successful and brave. Wrestlers then make another tour and check each other's tights. After checking, the most important weapon continues. Opponents come face to face 2 more times. At first, the left hand grabs the other's neck, and the right hand shakes the opponent. Second, the reverse of that move is performed. This move is a promise that this match will be made according to the rules and no malice shall interfere. At their next encounter, the opponents come chest to chest. They pat each other's backs. With this move, they check whether their opponent is oiled well or not, as well as asking the other's blessing. At the final encounter, they shake hands and wish each other luck. Then the wrestlers begin to wrestle nape to nape.
Baş meydanı müsabakalarında Mehmet Yeşil İstiklali. küçük orta, küçük boy takımlarından Salih Sancak. Salih Sancak. Top adını tekrar atmaya getirdi. Asyalı'nın müsabakalarında Bayram Erkan Galip. Galip. Asyalı'nın müsabakalarında İsmail Balaban Galip.
Oil wrestling requires much effort. They need to grab and not lose their slippery opponents. Then they need to move their whole bodies. They need to perform the scythe movement with their feet or when they neck pull. They need to be so strong that the oil does not affect them. It is easy to understand that fully placing the force of the body requires great mastery. With this perspective, our wrestling has reached a position that also Europe admires. Kırkpınar wrestling drawing this much attention also proves that.
Kırkpınar güreşlerinin bu derece ilgi çeken bir şeyle devam etmesi de bunu gösteriyor.
Barcelona'nın müsabakalarında Ali Rıza Kaya galip. Barcelona'nın müsabakalarında Ali Altun galip. Barcelona'nın müsabakalarında Hüseyin İcra, basit güreşinden dolayı bu hakem hakkında iptal edilmiştir. Barcelona'nın müsabakalarında Mahmut Doğakçı'ya oğul güreşinden dolayı bir sarı kart verilmiştir. Az oldu. Deste orta boy pehlivanları. Deste orta boy pehlivanları. Çok fazla pehlivan giriş kapısında yerler düzenli. Barcelona'nın müsabakalarında Mahmut Kavakçı'ya basın güreşinden dolayı ikinci iptal edilmiştir. gösteriyor müsabakalarında Kaan Kaya galip. Sağlık Müdürlüğü'nde Arjun Galip. Dikkat! Başarılı milyonları Avlama Saat'in izlenmesi Kule Önlüğü'nün kazandı.
For example, it is surprising that in the early years of the 1600s, many described the wrestling between Turks. That is to say, that when it was a sport that Europe was not interested in, settled with us. And it is so natural, let's not forget. For example, when we talk about Janissaries, they were young people. And who wrestles? Young people do.
güreşlerinde Antalya'dan Ali Gülümüz galip. Koç Meydanı güreşlerinde Antalya'dan Ali Gülümüz galip.
Passion towards this sport, especially in the public, and the continuing attention on Korkpınar wrestling shows that fact. After the establishment of the Republic, changing trends made mat wrestling popular. Turks with Karakucak and oil wrestling backgrounds also succeeded in Greco-Roman, but had most of their success in freestyle. Our national team has also made us proud to call wrestling our ancestors' sport by winning both world and Olympic championships. Ataturk's attention and great interest in wrestling also played a large role in those successful years of mat wrestling. Investments made in this area bore fruit in the 1936 Berlin Olympics, when Yaşar Ekhan won the first gold medal in Greco-Roman style, and Ahmet Kireççi, known as Mersinli Ahmet, won a bronze medal in the freestyle. The Olympics left a mark on Turkish wrestling life in 1948 in London. In these Olympics, Nasu Akar, Gazanfer Bilge, Jalal Atık, and Yaşar Doğu, Ahmet Kireççi each won a gold medal in the freestyle wrestling. Halit Balamir and Adil Candemir won silver medals in freestyle, and Kenan Olcay and Mullis Tayfur earned silver medals in Greco-Roman. Halil Kaya also won a bronze medal in the Greco-Roman style, and our national anthem was played several times. The propelling force and main factor for their success was their trainer, Nuri Boyturun. Boyturun was an old national wrestler whose name represented our country abroad several times. The 1952 Helsinki Olympics were a great disappointment after 1948. Only Hasan Gemici and Bayram Şit won gold medals, and Adil Atan a bronze. All the medals that were earned in freestyle, and nothing in Greco-Roman. The 1956 Melbourne Olympics were a new rise, as Mithat Bayrak in Greco-Roman and Mustafa Dağıstanlı and Hamit Kaplan in freestyle earned gold medals. Rıza Doğan in Greco-Roman and Ibrahim Zengin in freestyle returned with silver medals. In this championship, Dursun Ali Egribaş in Greco-Roman and Hüseyin Akbaş in freestyle went up to the rostrum. The 1960 Rome Olympics brought the second greatest victory, with Muzahir Sile, Mithat Bayrak, and Tevfik Kuş earning gold medals in the Greco-Romans, and Ahmet Bilek, Mustafa Dağıstanlı, Hasan Güngör, and İsmet Atlı earning gold medals in freestyle. Ahmet Bilek attended the Mediterranean Game in the 1964 Tokyo Olympics with Kazim Ayvaz, were won by Ismail Ogan, Hüseyin Akbaş, Hasan Güngör, and Ahmet Ayık returned with silver medals in freestyle. The only bronze medal was brought home by Hamit Kaplan for freestyle. We won only 2 gold medals in the 1968 Mexican Olympics. 2 sportsmen, Mahmut Atalay and Ahmet Ayık, returned with medals in freestyle. Falling popularity in wrestling began after this point. In the 1972 Munich Olympics, we made do with a silver medal won by Vebi Akda in freestyle. In 1976 and 1980, we had no place on the wrestling platform. In 1984, at the Los Angeles Olympics, Ayhan Taşkın only won a bronze medal. In the 1988 Olympics, the only wrestling medal came from Necmi Gençalp in freestyle. In 1992, Akip Pirim. In 1996, Mahmut Demir and Hamza Yerlikaya. And again in 2000, Hamza Yerlikaya came home with gold medals. Mr. Hamza Yerlikaya has won 2 gold medals for our country and has been honored as the Wrestler of the Century by FİLM. Our country is very proud of him. And today, he is the president of the Turkish Wrestling Federation. In 2008, Ramazan Şahin returned with a gold medal, which is the latest for Turkey. We went to Ankara. Yaşar Doğu took me to Refik Koraltan, who was the chairman of parliament at that time. Refik Koraltan said, "When I was the governor, we went to visit Ataturk. Ataturk loves wrestling, and so do I. He was portly and pulled me down, and I went easy on him, and he said, 'Do not go easy on me.' So Ataturk also loved wrestling." We remember with respect the first Pehlivan, Koca Yusuf, who started the world saying, "Strong as a Turk," who spread the fame and the strength of Turks to the world. Kara Ahmet, who was the first world champion in wrestling and was awarded the Ottoman Decoration of Merit by Sultan Abdülhamit II. Krul Aliço, who was the head wrestler of Kırkpınar for 27 consecutive years. Abdullah Halil, who knocked out all of his competitors in Europe and America and stormed through the world with the nickname of the Great Turk. Kurt Durdeli Mehmet Pehlivan, who is the world wrestler. Legendary Pehlivan Hergeleci Ibrahim, who trained so many wrestlers. Ali Nurullah Hassan, who was called Filiz, the champion of the Golden Belt Tournament, and the Turkish giant in Europe and America. Kızılcıklı Mahmut Pehlivan, who made all the world tremble with the nickname of the Fearful Turk. Çolak Mumin Molla, Kantaca Halil, Şamdancı Kara İbo, Yuruk Ali, Yaşa Erkan, Mersinli Ahmet, Yaşar Doğu, Gazanfer Bilge, Celal Atik, Nasu Akar, Kasım Ayvaz, İsmet Atlı, Çoban Mehmet, Hamit Kaplan, Mahmut Atalay, Nihat Kabanla, Nuri Boyotan, and the expert of experts, God rest their souls. This rich culture, born in Kırkpınar and spread all over the world by the hands of brave wrestlers who guzzle from the spring. This flag, which is in Kırkpınar now, is waving for new brave wrestlers to represent the power of the Turks to the whole world.